Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling good. Today we're here for a rather special video. So Top Secret Star Park Brawl Stars sent me this. Now hold on, you're going to say, yes, Periado, this is starting to look scripted, etc. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to try to be as straightforward and honest with you as possible, etc. Crazy. I'm anticipating your likely questions in the comments. Nothing is scripted. I opened the package to see what's inside and prep for the video, so I don't give you wrong info. I have a lot of things and a lot of documents that I translated into French to prepare this video. Now, we're going to look at everything together just to understand, because it's especially about the 100th brawler and much more than that. So in this video, we're going to go through several steps. Of course, we're going to go through all the items one by one in detail in French because everything is in English. Of course, it's Brawl Stars. The second part of this video is mainly about trying to make connections and trying to understand. It's going to be a bit mixed with the first part, but we're mostly going to share our theories in this second part. Anyway, you get it. This isn't a video like usual. It's like a news video, but this time we have it in real life, not just on the computer. Hope you're doing well and feeling good. This is a video that's going to be a bit different, and honestly, I'm super hyped to show you everything that's inside this famous little thing. As you can see, it's a folder, and there are lots of different things. I'll show you everything and let you explore it. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and use code PR2. As always, thank you for your support to everyone who uses it. It's amazing. Don't hesitate to keep using it, whether it's on Brawl Stars, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, basically the other Supercell games, but also on epic games like Fortnite, Rocket League. It works everywhere. Thanks to those who do it. Listen, I think we can start this video without further delay. I think that's what you've been waiting for. To tell this story a bit, first, I received this package yesterday, so yesterday I unpacked the package. I knew Brawl Stars would send me something, since they inform certain creators, likely those with high views or interest in Star Park's story. They were like, we're going to send you a package. So of course I gave my address, etc. and I received a small package. I opened it and unpacked everything. So everything was inside, but there were little things to protect it. Because as you can see, there will be some paper. There will be a few little things that I'll explain to you later. So that's why. I imagine that today, at the moment when we can post all this, because of course, as you can imagine, we have a schedule for posting all this. And just like the Brawl Talk itself, they didn't tell us what's inside. They didn't explain anything to us. They just told us, give your address and you can post your content starting from a certain time. So not everyone is required to post their content. Just to be clear, I'm doing this because I really like Brawl Stars and everything I do is related to Brawl Stars. You guys are starting to know me, so there you go. I received this little thing, as you can see, top secret. So of course I have everything to share with you that's allowed. We can see that it's classy, and above all, look, you can see here, it says Star Park. That's what's going to interest us, especially when we open it. There are several documents inside. Nice. I'll take everything out one by one. As you can see, there's a lot inside. It was all bundled up and wrapped to protect it. Just some laminated paper, all neatly packed. First, we have this. See? So, this is a mask. And above all, what's going to be interesting, I'm giving you a bit of a spoiler here, it's a Sirius mask. Who is Sirius, you might ask? That's the real question. So, we understand that there's a person in the lore of Star Park, in the story of Star Park. As a reminder, and to put things back into context, all the brawlers come from an amusement park, and someone in the amusement park was actually wearing this mask. So, here you go. I have some of the modeled files and so on just to show you better. The mask looks exactly like this. You can see there's a little logo. It kind of looks like a Meeple logo. To me, this thing reminds me a bit of Meeple. Of course, that doesn't mean he'll join the Meeple trio, especially since there's a connection with things like the Star Drop. First, we have an interesting mask. Our second item, listen, it's a kind of sticker, but most importantly, it's what's written on it that interests us. It says Star Circus written like this, Star Circus. We already know the Star Park logo. We've seen it several times. That little logo, I don't know if you remember. It was especially in RT's trio, and it's the same font as the amusement park, except this time it says Circus. If we start making connections and comparisons, the bizarre Circus comes to mind. Just look at how Circus is written. But it isn't really related, but we know about the bizarre Circus trio, which actually only includes Charlie. So, could it be that Sirius could actually be part of this famous trio, of this bizarre circus, or maybe the one with RT and Larry Lurie? More likely, we have another entity, that famous thing, since we're discussing the Star Circus. I also received some popcorn, which is pretty strange. You know, Fang actually puts out popcorn, and on this popcorn, there's a little detail. It simply says Star Circus. You can see Star Circus written like this. The popcorn boxes aren't assembled yet, but yeah, it's just a popcorn thing. Just put them back like this, arrange them a bit so they're set up right. See, it looks like a box of popcorn. I don't want to damage it, so I'll leave it like this. Because, you see, these are items from Brawl Stars, but I got exactly 3 popcorns, so why 3? I guess it's because of the Brawl Stars trio. Maybe there's another reason, because I really did get 3 of them. There's no meaning. All three are exactly the same. They all say Star Circus. That's it. There's no meaning. There's nothing written on them. I really opened them and looked inside. You see, even in the smallest details, there's really nothing special. There's no little sign, no little date written. No, there's nothing, absolutely nothing at all. Then, next, I received a pretty interesting item, which is simply a ticket. On this ticket, it says Star Circus, same thing, I modeled it. At least you can really see concretely what's going on. And above all, we have a few little dates on it. At least you see the ticket in high resolution. That's exactly what it looks like. It's really the same. Exactly the same, except ours isn't torn and it's all clean. We can see several things that are quite interesting, especially a date, February 24, 1979. We'll talk more about that date a bit later, but it's really strange, not because it's old or anything, it's just that it has nothing to do with the dates we know in Brawl Stars. That's already weird. We can see that, well, it was 10 cents. It says the famous phrase, a place you never want to leave. So that's really the amusement park's motto. That's when they were kind of enchanted, so I know it's going to make some kind of tunnels. A lot of people won't understand this video. They don't follow the law. Law, I invite you to. I've already made videos about the law, about specifically Star Park, etc, etc. I invite you to watch the others. I'm starting to put all the context back in. I think the video really lasted an hour, that's why. Video. So we know it's an amusement park. This phrase has already been said several times. That's what's really weird. Right here it says, so it's a bit low quality because the ticket looks damaged. But it says admit for one person only, and especially just below here it says any age, so that means any child can get in too. And let's remember that some children, like for example Leon, were turned into brawlers. He simply became Leon, just like Nita, who was his sister. Then it says no refund or exchange, so you're basically forced to go, or if you don't, you won't get your money back, and they're going to present precisely the star that shines the brightest. Maybe it's exactly this thing with the gems that are supposed to transform the brawlers, because remember, the gems, like in Gem Grab, that's what transforms a brawler. When they come into contact with that gem, boom, you start getting superpowers. The second ticket is just a bit clearer, as you can see. And what's funny is that it's exactly the same numbers. So for example, you can see 002901. So either it actually means, for example, January 29th, but why would there be 00? Maybe it's the year 2000, or it's simply the ticket number, which is also very likely. Say. But well, in the situation we're in, it's better to look at everything. So we've shown this famous ticket. It's really interesting too. Next, you can see there was a box that was just like this, I imagine, to hold the photos. There were two kinds of cards, like postcards you can mail. On one of the first cards, I'll show you more closely in a moment, one card just shows the Star Park wheel with Star Circus on it. I'll show you again soon, no worries. And the other one is simply the carousel with just the tent, you know, for the circus. I just took a picture of it to make it much easier. At least I can zoom in and so on. Once again, you see that famous star, you know, a kind of star drop that's always there, which clearly means it's in Star Park. And if you look at each carriage, there's nothing special. I was maybe expecting to see some people or something, but unfortunately there's nothing. There's just this little thing here. It looks kind of weird. It looks like some kind of shadow, but yeah, there's nothing significant. Anyway, we can't really come up with any theories about this kind of little thing. We just see Star Park for real. The second one, well, it's really weird. Circus again. It kind of has something to do with Charlie, like this Star Circus again. There's some connection, etc., but we don't know exactly what else. Again, there's nothing special. We just really see the environment of Star Park. But there are no weird shapes, no strange shadows. There's nothing. Here it gets interesting. There's another version just behind. You can see the gap and something is written there. I'll take a picture so you can see. So here you have the real photo and you can see the back of the cards, and that's exactly where it's weird. We still have the Star Circus, the same motto. You can see that you can place a stamp here, so it's really written, place the stamp here, what you can write. There's a famous number where this time it says 491011. Anyway, these are exactly the same two cards. The back has the same text, but it's in Latin instead of English, which is interesting. I translated the elements into English, and as you can see, it says place here, think. Postcard, Circus here, at the postal address of Cirque Star, a place you never want to leave. Best of Shadow Theater, so you see we have a little variation with this famous theater, but of course that doesn't translate. So, what is lorem ipsum? I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but you get it. After some research, lorem ipsum is dummy text, just a sequence of meaningless words. That's why we can't translate it. It's just to calibrate a layout. The final text, the real text, will replace the dummy text. And that's why it's impossible to translate, because quite simply it's fake Latin and the text written here. Remember this, the popular version, lorem ipsum dolor. Seem I agree, the accent isn't there, but I'm unsure how to say it. Still, it's mostly the same with a few variations. Be careful, it's not exactly the same, but if I do it the same way, you can see lorem ipsum dolor. Simet is specific designer. There you go. Did you get it? Anyway, basically, it's the same beginning, just there are a few elements that aren't the same, but it gets picked up in different ways pretty quickly. You see, it comes back with something real. I can't truly translate it. Even with Google Translate, it's impossible. I'm supposed to go from Latin to French, but it's just not working. So here's a fake text instead. Obviously, if you've stayed until now, the best parts are coming little by little. I also got a particular poster, which is a bit big, as you can see. See, where it simply says Cyrus, the famous master of shadows, exactly as we mentioned in the famous letter. You could see that famous shadow, etc. Which simply means the Theater of Shadows will open its doors. As you can see, this is the ticket, so for 10 cents you can access this famous show. Of course, once again, I'll show it to you in good quality. And I invite you, especially if you have theories or anything, really don't hesitate to share them. I think every contribution you see brings something good. At least you can really see all the details one by one, and especially that famous face. So, what does it mean? The mask? It's pretty much the same. It's not the same, but we know it's a counterfeit, which makes it interesting. He gestures with his hand. Same. But his shadow doesn't mean the same thing, and it's got nothing to do with it. How? He was showing one face and the other was different. It kind of reminds me, you know, of Larry Laurie. There's Larry. And actually, there's his partner who's different, who attacks differently and as a result shows another face. It's like there's some kind of twin. In any case, you quickly understand, with that smile he has, you see there's something a little sinister about him. He's the performer in the famous Circus Sirius, and his name is Sirius. See the connection? You might also notice other small details. Dynamic mind, so we understand that's where the GMs appeared, and that's where all the brawlers started to be transformed. It's because of those famous ones, so there's still a connection, and he's arriving at Star Park soon. He's the first to do that show. You'll see his face and more of him later. No, we're not done with the interesting things yet. There aren't many left. You can see the bag has started to empty out, so we'll see that at the end. It's simply a kind of cassette, and you can see it's been protected, and there's a little note written here. I'll just read it to you. It just says memories. So the famous memories of Star Park, etc., etc. That's it. It opens, and once you open it, you can take out this little thing. And inside, you can see there's another little star drop which shows it's from Star Park. There's just a small B here, same thing, nothing interesting, and here it says Star Park. So you get it. It's kind of like the cameras recorded something. But you can use it. There's a USB drive. Well, I probably shouldn't say that, but you see, it was kind of like a cassette. You see both things from back then, similar to the RT thing. It looks like RT, and you can just plug it in, but you only notice that at the end. So stay tuned, we have some audio, and you'll see inside that famous sleeve. So we're not missing much anymore. If I take everything, you can see there's really nothing left at all. I have 4 little pieces of paper like this. If I turn them over, you can tell these papers are from a newspaper, so I'm not going to show them to you like this. Once again, I took some photos, and most importantly, we'll start with the clear photos, then I'll show you the translation, we'll read them together to understand, and I'll zoom in on everything so you see it from the start. I also took more photos to make things clearer. At least you really see what the cassette looks like up close. So we have an A on this side, but on the other side, I can confirm for you, it's a B. And at least you see the real visual. As for the rest, you can see what it looks like. So it's really like this. You see, there are kinds of stains. We understand that it's a newspaper that was used, so obviously it's reproduced, but the goal is to immerse ourselves in it. You see, it was a bit burned, etc. As if there had been a massacre, some kind of problem, an incident. At least you really see all the papers. So here it's in English like I told you, but don't worry. Unfortunately, it was cut, but don't worry. I'll translate everything from A to Z. At least you understand, but those who don't know English won't understand anything. If you understand English, you can pause and try to watch and understand. At least you have the original. We have a second visual that looks like this. Again, you see there are really cups, like coffee cups. I don't know. For me, it really makes me think of some kind of glass that was placed on top. We have the third document. Again, you can see the date, and above all, one person is missing. So here, it's really the title of the newspaper, kind of like it's the front page, the cover page, well, the very last document. It's funny because that really makes you think, you see, of the postcard I showed you a little earlier for this. I showed you all the elements in that way. So yeah, it's really strange. And above all, it's always the same date. We're going to start with this fourth document, the Daily Clown. So you can tell it was December 12th. And the Cirque Star, so the Star Circus, it's a first. It's going to open its doors. So the attraction isn't exact, of course, since it's translated, but at least we have the main idea. It's the very first permanent attraction to be launched on the E-Star. So we really understand that Star Park is an island. And that's perfect. If you go to the trophy wheel, you can actually see the shape of the island, etc. And all the elements, all the little areas that include each trio of brawlers. What's pretty funny is that this E-Star was abandoned for a long time, as if there had been a little problem. Hey. Once deserted and widely considered cursed, the E-Star had remained uninhabited for years, following a series of mysterious and bizarre incidents that had driven away its former inhabitants. Despite persistent rumors and warnings from local conspiracy theorists, a large crowd gathered early Sunday morning to witness the opening of the circus. So, the famous person we saw. The CEO of Circus Star described the launch as a bold new chapter in entertainment, positioning the attraction as a major step toward revitalizing the island. At the heart of the opening was the first performance of the act, the star of the circus, Sirius, whose shadow theater show quickly became the focal point of the day. So, there you have it. We understand that Sirius was doing shadow performances. He's not some kind of clown or anything, just, you know. He made shapes with his fingers like butterflies and other things, and had a rather strange face. We already know it was a deserted island with mysterious problems and incidents, and it was later abandoned. In the rest of this article, they tell us, using only light, fabric, and movement, Sirius transformed the inside the big top into a new shifting animated shadow show. He has to bounce, twist, move around on stage. Eliciting audible reactions from the audience throughout many performances, spectators of all ages responded with applause, laughter, and on several occasions, ovations. Standing there then, for now, nothing special. We understand that Sirius's performance was pretty good, there were no problems or anything, everyone was happy, everyone was applauding, and so on. In short, for now, nothing strange yet. This article here, December 12, 1921, and this is the final edition. So, can we see, if it's nice? Is it too new? Is it hiding something from us? Volume 129 out of 187. In short, everything is worth looking into. Next, we'll look at this. Item, the Capitol Circus. The body of the missing artist still hasn't been found as of December 12, 1979, and that's where it gets interesting. The Star Park authorities maintain their official position months after the devastating Star Circus incident. So, you see, months later, December 12, 1979, it's strange. Questions keep piling up as the authorities confirm that the body of the artist Sirius still hasn't been found, so he's the one who had a problem. Despite multiple searches at the fire site and around the park, investigators report no definitive evidence of death or survival, so we don't know if he's dead or still alive. There. In short, we don't know, he disappeared. There's currently no indication that Sirius left the scene, said the park spokesperson. Rumors have surfaced in the absence of an answer. Some claim that Sirius appeared in the flames, consumed along with his beloved stage, while others insist that he escaped through hidden tunnels under the park, passages whose existence Star Park representatives deny, even those who work at Star Park. They say it doesn't exist, there are no hidden tunnels. However, some think he went through here, while others say it doesn't exist, and others believe he died in the flames. A small but very active group of fire survivors believes that something much stranger happened. The waves didn't stop when the fire started, claims one witness. They kept moving as if it was him, not making the shadows. The Star Circus is expected to be dismantled later this year. The park spokesperson recently announced plans to reinvent the space in the future. Basically, it will go on. The park isn't closing, it's just that it will continue, but there won't be the Star Circus anymore. As for Sirius, his name began to disappear from the official records and was replaced by speculation, rumors, and unanswered questions. He left no evidence, he survived. Maybe Star Park hasn't seen the last of him. So he disappeared, we haven't heard from him. Is he dead? Is he alive? Some say yes, others no. That's what's strange. There are also other interesting things. Let's just go back to that. The famous fire. What is it? Just as a reminder, Star Park, for us at least at this point, looks like this. So we see the famous island again, etc. We understand that now it's inhabited, but by brawlers, not humans. Let's remember that back in the day, in 1980, etc., it was only humans. Real humans. Once again, we have something pretty strange. So here, you see, this is really the world of Star Park for those who don't remember, etc., etc. But where it gets interesting is right here, we have that famous star again. You see, there's something strange about it. It's the same font. And above all, this moment here really interests me. You can see the famous ticket that looks a lot like Welcome to Star Park. And above all, we have the same phrase, everyone can enter, no matter the age. And especially, we have that famous phrase again, a place you never want to leave, can. There are a lot of things, and we saw that famous help, etc. Anyway, we're not going to go over it again, but you see, that's what we know. At the time, we saw that famous video, so that was also shot, let's say, around the 1900s. We don't have an exact date for Star Park, but you can see that was the Star Park logo at the time, just like Star Circus. So, but what I want to get at is, we're not going to watch that video. Maybe some people don't know it, etc., etc. That video was removed by Brawl Stars. I'm not sure if they restored it. It showed the famous amusement park before all the incidents and strange events happened. We understand something is happening here. The video is special, and what interests me is right here. We know there was a famous fire. This is the moment it happened. You suggest it might be the same. What's funny is that before the fire, you can see, so there, everyone is leaving and everyone is panicking. You can see there are people sweeping, etc. At the moment of the fire, you see they're all kind of like zombies. B, as if something had happened, and above all, he changed. Anyway, this video was extremely special. There have been so many theories about it. You have to take that into account, of course. It's connected. We'll keep going. So this little article, at least you understand the link with maybe the fire. 2 bodies disappear from 2 graves. Actually, what is written, it says, so body disappears from 2 gra. We don't have the rest, and since, unfortunately, the article is cut off, we will never have the ending. What initially seemed to be the kind of thing more commonly associated with B-horror movies has taken a worrying turn after people were reported missing earlier this week. Authorities confirmed the 2 individuals had recently visited the newly renamed park. Law enforcement says this is the only known link between the cases. The disappearances are currently considered unrelated, as investigators lack more information. As I mentioned, this is a translation. The issue is we can't proceed if words are missing in the translation, and some English words are missing. So, it's basically the same. We'll continue since it's just another article. Violence in football, a new sport, is drawing a growing audience. But blending traditional athletics and martial arts, this competition features armed players and matches that focus on spectacle and physical dominance as well as technique. So, you can guess. You see, they're probably talking about Brawl. The conventional rules common to sports, including yellow and red cards, have been completely abandoned. There are no cards in Brawl. Instead, the only objective is simple: score 2 goals to win. Officials oversee the matches, calling the format fast, intense, and uncompromising. Supporters praise this sport for its intense unpredictability, while critics worry about player safety and the lack of standardized regulations. Despite that, well, we don't have the rest. What's odd is that this article came out the same day as the other one, December 12, 1979. That's really strange. The article I just read is this one. You can see it's impossible to translate since it's cut off midway, so we'll never know the full story, but at least you have a general idea of what it says. We're going to move on with this famous article where, you see, it's the end of an article saying that some crustaceans show surprisingly high intelligence, some scientists reporting that certain species, especially shrimp, are capable of, we don't know. But you see, we know it's talking about Hank because, well, shrimp, etc., and Hank drives a tank. So that's for sure. The researchers note these behaviors: coordinated movements, environmental manipulation, and responses suggesting planning rather than mere instinct. Such actions, the observations have sparked a new debate about intelligence, creativity, culture, and species long considered to operate only by instinct. There you go. It's quite a special article. Once again, everything was written back on December 12, 1979. We just know there's a reference to Hank in it. We know that some creatures have intelligence, so I think it's talking about all the creatures we have. In Brawl Stars, I don't know, like for example Clancy, even if it's some kind of inflatable thing, Clancy, we're not sure yet, but there are many animals in Brawl Stars, which I think is the reference. Earlier at Star Park, a circus fire killed a performer, so it's likely referring to Sirius again. Chaos broke out late last night when a fire ravaged the circus tent, sending flames high into the night sky, visible from far away. Ranger Ranch, remember? It's the trio of Belle, Pearl, and Sam, forcing the immediate evacuation of the nearby attractions. Witnesses report seeing smoke coming from inside the tent shortly after the end of the evening show. An emergency team from the park arrived within minutes, but the structure was already engulfed. In addition, Sirius, the famous circus performer, is missing. We are told that the park spokesperson initially stated that Sirius was supposed to be inside the tent at the time of the fire. After a preliminary search, no body was found. If there was a fatality, it would be him. He's the only one missing. Everyone else is accounted for. We know 2 people died elsewhere, unrelated to the fire or the famous tent. The park spokesperson said this morning they're assuming fatalities occurred and the investigation continues. The evacuated witnesses reported seeing unusual lighting a few moments before the fire started, with shadows stretching across the canvas walls of the tent, even after the lights had been turned off. So, we can think that the next brawler, the 100th brawler you see, might have control over shadows. For me, it would be related to that. I wouldn't say the powers are like Grey's, but you see, it's a kind of mime, something like that. The 100th brawler is ducks and poultry? The circumstances are indefinitely. The park has not given any reopening date and has refused to answer questions regarding security violations and recent complaints. Where is the performer? What was meant to be Star Park's brightest attraction is now its mystery. The more mysterious it gets, the more interesting it becomes. Now, we have one final article shown here. Once again, we have a famous fake text. We always see that. December 1979. We have an article right here that tells us good news for families. Across the country, ice cream has been praised by prominent nutritionists as a surprising aid to health. Once considered just a simple summer treat, this healthy dairy snack now finds its place on American tables. It builds strong bodies and happy minds. Doctors point out that ice cream is rich in milk, providing calcium for strong bones and protein for growing children. These enriched varieties include added vitamins to help Americans stay healthy in a changing era. 1 scoop a day can soothe nerves and boost your mood, according to an expert praising ice cream's refreshing effect in hot months. Some cases have even reported healing properties, even though the evidence, and here we don't know because the rest is simply cut off. Again, here it's cut off, which is strange. Who is praising the benefits of ice cream? I think we all agree that ice cream itself is too sweet, etc. There are plenty of problems. Except that we know in Star Park there were some dishes that had a certain significance. There were lasagna, ice cream. There must have been other things too, but you can see that here, ice cream coincidentally is good for kids. And we know that Brawl Stars, and especially Star Park, were manipulating all of this to have them as employees. So we really understand that there was a special event. Then we have a photo with lots of birds, etc. And escape from the birds. It only says escape bird. Early this morning, residents found something unusual. A flock of crows escaped from a local animal trainer. Do you sense the little crow coming? The birds, believed to be from a traveling exhibition, reportedly escaped during morning feeding and quickly scattered into nearby areas. What particularly struck the witnesses was the behavior of the flock itself, rather than just scattering randomly. Usually resident of Crive, it's not the most interesting part, it's cut off. On the other hand, we have the main article which gives us the headline. The greatest circus show to date, Star Park may need more than just a puppet show. Spectrum. Once hailed as the greatest show on Earth, Star Circus has recently struggled to adapt to changing tastes. What was once the jewel of Star Park is now just a shadow of its former self, because the crowds that once filled the big top now head to newer and more extreme attractions elsewhere in the park. While some visitors continue to praise the circus, describing its current version as darker, bolder, and more intense, others have expressed concerns about safety inside the big top. Several audience members said they felt uneasy during the performances, claiming that the shadows on stage moved in an abnormal way. Even more concerning, some spectators reported their own shadows seemed to disappear during the show. It would return a few hours later. Despite speculation, Sirius, the park's star, has mostly remained out of the public eye. He has declined to comment on the reports and is rarely seen outside scheduled performances, according to staff and regular visitors. As you can see, he really doesn't have any timeline in all these documents. However, what's interesting is that they all have the same meaning, all these documents. It's that every single thing we saw, everything was targeted and everything was broken down to target. Sirius, so we understand that, you see, it's the main element, the person who did this and selected all these things, they only wanted Sirius. But why isn't it over? As I showed you, we have a little USB drive right here. I'll open it with you so you can see and especially understand what's going on. I'm putting it on my computer so you can see if I go to my PC or USB drive. I'm showing you everything step by step so you understand the whole process. So, the famous USB drive we saw is plugged in, and it's this one here. It says Star Circus Stacks Return. So normally it's supposed to represent, let's say, all the invoices, etc, etc. So, if I click on it, well, that's just for Macs, etc, so we don't care about that. We're on PC, so we'll only open this one, but it's exactly the same. Don't worry, there's nothing fake or anything like that, it's really the same thing. So, we're going to click here. Here, you can see we have several dates. Remember the date from the famous journal. Right here, if I remind you, it's December 12, 1979. So, do you see a 1979 here? The answer is no. We're going to open the oldest one, 1923. If I open 1923, the folder is empty. Okay, why not 1924? The folder is empty again. 1925. The 3 years are in a row, it's weird, all three are empty. However, we have 2026, so if you... 2026, we have something important. I'm going to open it, even though it says do not open. There are two things here. Since we already have super secret, we decide to open it. The folder is empty, so we're going to go back and check this here. It says this. This is not the right direction, let's go there. See? It says trash, and we have 4 things. If we go back, so let's go here and head in the right direction. The folder is empty, so we realize we must go the wrong way. There are 4 voice messages like this. Sorry, 4. We know they're a bit strange, but I'll let you listen. 1 is a story in bed. Why not? Number 2 is a voluntary departure. Number 3 is Stars Cup. And number 4, so it's at Barthaba Bartlett's place. It's Barthaba. So in Barthaba's bar, there were people who talked and gossiped. So how are we going to proceed? Because right now we have a little problem. The problem is that everything is in English, and I suspect that most of you don't understand English. What I suggest you do is to turn on the translation on YouTube, activate the subtitles so you can understand everything that's written. I'm sharing everything so you can investigate with me, since I honestly don't know more than this. I'm showing and telling you everything, but I won't talk. I'll let you listen to it all from A to Z. We'll listen to this one since it's longer at the end. That way, those who really want to leave the video, at least you have most of the information, but I swear it's pretty interesting. Really, don't hesitate to turn on the subtitles and set them from English to French to understand everything well. I'm not translating everything since these are dialogues. I can give you a quick summary for those who don't want to use translation, but it wouldn't be very useful. In any case, for those who can't be bothered to turn on the translation, I'll give you a quick summary. The main idea, let's start with number 2, mutual. Mutual voluntary. Here we go.
Sir, this is your final notice. You are no longer permitted on park grounds. Security will escort.
You don't get to erase me.
Security will attack.
Willfish will place you. I am the star! And shadows don't leave! Just because you tell them to.
So in there, it's pretty strange actually, because he's telling us several things. Basically, it's a person who is resisting. She says shadows won't vanish just by telling them to go away. It doesn't work that way. Shadows are controlled. That's not her exact wording, but that's the idea. It's just a person who is resisting security trying to get in. We can think that it's actually Sirius who is trying, to come back on stage, and he's just stopped by security. Anyway, it looks like that's the Star Scoop segment. It's a bit longer, it lasts 1 minute and 11 seconds, but I'll show you everything. Once again, at least you'll really have all the details.
Welcome to the Star Scoop. Visitors to the island are thanking their lucky stars that they witnessed the wonders of Sirius's circus, humbly called the greatest show on Earth. Watch as the mysterious Sirius controls shadows with his mind. Marvel at this magician, be impressed by his performance, and join the legions of Sirius fans.
Never seen anything like it. He took my little Billy's shadow up to the stage and brought it back.
Oh yes, Sirius. Greatest performer ever. Do you want to get my money now?
As the island's biggest attraction, Sirius's circus is sure to be around forever. Sirius's circus has made Star Park a global phenomenon with 4 sold-out shows. Every day the
Circus is sold out. I'm glad I got a seat. Sirius John, my shadow.
Please ignore the rumors that Sirius tells his audience's shadows after performances. It's pure poppycock. Get your tickets to the greatest show on Earth now, only at Sirius's circus.
Oh hey, Sirius, the greatest performer alive.
What's that? It sounds like our much-awaited new attraction, Dynamics Mine. Can you stomach an explosive minecart ride for the prospectus? Tunnels join the grand opening next week.
So, quite a few things happened there. First of all, we heard 3 or 4 different people talking about Sirius, saying it's the best show, that he's exceptional, and that he stole a shirt. And at the end, we actually heard Dynamite and that there was another attraction that was fun to do. Anyway, I'll just leave it to you once again. For those who have the translation, I didn't explain everything, but at least for those who can't listen, who don't have that translation, you get the general idea. It's just people praising the show as if they're paid, like the guy who did a backflip even though it wasn't necessary. So yeah, there's something weird, at least that's what I understood. My English isn't great, but that's what I got. Let's move on to number 4.
I heard he's the reason Spike doesn't speak.
What? No way, Spike doesn't speak because he's a cactus.
Oh, being a plant never stops Sprout. Well, apparently he hides in the sewer. He abducted Gus and turned him into a ghost.
Is Gus a ghost? I thought he was.
I have to stop now since we already understand, and there are plenty of interesting elements. Spike is a cactus, so he doesn't talk, but Wally is a plant and he does talk. That's really what he says. I'm translating word for word. So why wouldn't Spike talk? It's just 2 people talking in the bar. Right after, they say that there are gutters. And Gus was kidnapped, and that's how he became a ghost. And the funniest part is that it was actually Spike who kidnapped Gus. And who laughed in the cannibal pour just tomorrow so the trance, and it's crazy. Devenu un fantôme. C'est parti, on reprend.
Oh, true. That boy needs some fake tan like yesterday.
Angelo, stop anyway.
The real story is he was kicked out of the park for committing a murder.
But murder is impossible at Star Park. You just respond.
Oh, if you don't believe me, ask Gale. He's like a bazillion years old. But back when he first came to the park, there were no powers at all and everyone was just normal.
Oh, okay, now you're sounding crazy.
Okay, but the real tea? I heard he's dating Melody.
What? Now, I need to find this guy so I can handle it myself.
I know, right? But seriously, they say he could take your shadow so you can never go in sunlight again.
Wait, that happened to Mornis? Hey, we thought he was a vampire.
That's super weird. So basically he's talking about Angelo, saying that he's supposedly dating Melody, that Angelo committed a murder, and that Mortis has been here for billions of years. He can actually steal your shadow, which is funny because newspapers mention it. It's just Mortis stealing your shadow. So the little problem is her, the one who reacts, she says, but I think Mortis is a very good... There are plenty of my interests that are just with the famous journal, but it's not serious, not just the famous gossip. At Barley. We're not here to parley, not even the major party, but part of the plan of gossip. As in the part, and even now we're moving on to this one, which is the longest. It lasts 2 minutes, trendy. I will remember what they allow, but there is plenty of money, and we have remote all of AZ, but you have remote. And what is this? Partisan, but it's not the solution that you're...
But I'm not tired.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's way past your bedtime.
Just one more story, please.
Oh, fine, but this one is scary.
I spent today battling a vampire and a mummy. I think I can take a little bedtime story.
For me, the ones speaking here would be Jesse and Pam. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you think or anything. But I see Jesse as a child asking Pam to tell a story. Well, now you have the context. Okay.
Well, here we go. A long time ago, before Star Park was even called Star Park, there was a circus.
Like Bizarre Circus?
Not quite. It stood in the same place, but looked very different.
Was Charlie there?
Oh, this was a long time before Charlie.
Okay, so I think you can pray and the potatoes, but it's the Bizarre Circus, and he said no, not really. It was a circus that was in the same place. Was Charlie in that circus? Circulating? No, it has Charlie, so it's before and comprehensive, and that will be the story. But seriously, honestly, it's super weird because a potato, a pencil.
There was a man, the first entertainer on the island. With only his hands and light, he could make everything you could ever imagine. Flying birds, dancing ballerinas, even some. Could he make a robot? Yeah, I'm sure he could.
What about a robot? I think you understand, and he could make flying birds, ballerinas who dance, Don j'imagine, Espa de Gigi, and the other Corbett, Venvidamo, Espa also de Fabrique. And robots, we implant in the sugar with Recus, etc. I want the robot exactly just April. A moment, I play this part of Broke. There are plenty of choices, and it's all Star Park.
What about with a rocket launcher?
He could make anything he put his mind to. People would travel from far and wide to watch him perform. And from his success, the park grew, which brought other performers with their own talents. But the man was not happy to share the spotlight, which he had claimed as his own for so long. He started going mad with jealousy. And they say his own shadows started to consume him, but he wasn't satisfied with only his own shadows. He started to steal
engross Sirius, etc. The very first to arrive, and he was the very first to make the circus and Star Park known. It's great that Gene Venn, etc. Except that, as the circus and Star Park grew bigger and bigger, it's Sirius, two talents which have paws, that it is human. After a while, Sirius was so jealous that even his own shadow didn't agree with him anymore. It kind of left his body. So I compromise attention coins, it's long, it's reviewed in what we can, and we despise the frame. Is that number the victim? He volleys the shadow of others and shadows his story that loses control, escapes, and those... But Sirius, a prank, Sirius under Jeremy Diaz.
But the shadows of others...
But shadows can't hurt you, right?
That's what everyone thought. Until brawlers started being taken. It started one night with one brawler, a boy with a balloon. Then it was two. And every night after, the number increased, until there was no one left except the man performing alone, with only his shadow.
Where did he go? Is he still here?
Oh, this was a long time ago, but the legend says he will come back. When little girls named Jessie refuse to go to bed on time, right? That's it now. Go to bed. I love you.
I love you too, Mom. She's not real, right?
I sure hope so.
Okay, at the end you hear that it's actually Daisy, the little girl. She asks if the whole story is true. She says she hopes it's not true. So in my opinion, this story is true in Safak. So we learn that, for example, Guz was mentioned as having been taken away by the waves, and that's how he was drawn in. And that Guz later became a ghost. Yes, Guz is a ghost. In fact, more and more brawlers were removed, but at the end, Launch and all these brawlers by the field that Jesse and St. Paris and Jesse dual vital couches. So if that's what you do, and part of the touch, and I think the fake, we all have the same thing. Depends when you all...
toutes les théories en même temps, ça a été peut-être...
Video, but with all the elements, I think it's precisely possible.
J'espère que vous avez apprécié tout ça. Voilà, je vous remercie pour cette vidéo. On se dit simplement à une prochaine les gars, comme d'habitude, code Pereado. Et à la prochaine, je compte sur vous pour faire vos théories en commentaire.